Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Big Scoop with Coop. I'm your host, Coop, and today I actually have a special guest on the show. He is the CEO of the OIC, and that is actually located in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Also, he is actually part of the Rocky Mount City Council. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rueben Blackwell, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cooper. Really appreciate you inviting me and look forward to having a great dialogue with you. And congratulations on your very successful blog talk show.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, Mr. Blackwell, on this show, we usually speak about people's success in their careers or their profession, how they started, once again, their success, and they give advice. But always on this show, we always start from the beginning. Now, Mr. Blackwell, what made you decide to pursue a career in OIC?
Well, that's interesting, Michael, because I really didn't decide to start a career at OIC. I was a funder I was managing a program within the city of Rocky Mount. I was the executive director of something called the Enterprise Alliance of Halifax, Edgecombe, and Wilson counties. It was a 3-county poverty program that was designated in the Clinton administration to target communities that were devastated by long-term systemic poverty. And OIC was an agency that actually provided services to those counties. And as such, I was given the task of ensuring that OIC was actually doing the things that they said they would do. And while doing so, the current executive director at that time of OIC started taking me out to lunch on once a month, and I thought I was being mentored by a phenomenal individual for a year. We would have lunch once a month for a year, and on the 12th lunch that we had, Mr. Powell looked across the table at me, and he said, well, what do you think about starting a new career? And I said, well, what are you talking about, Mr. Powell? And he said, well, we've been going to lunch for a year now, and he said, I've been interviewing you.
Wow.
So it was really a tremendous experience. One of OIC's founders, as I was stated before, who was also the executive director at the time, Willie Powell, had decided that he wanted to turn the reins over to someone who had a vision to take the organization to a place that he felt it should go and that the board wanted to see it go. So at that point, I accepted the possibility of a challenge, interviewed with the board of directors, and they made me an offer a few days later. And 16 years ago in April, this became my new venture and my great love in my life.
Wow, that is amazing because it's amazing how all prospects, and the reason why I'm saying that is because, well, for one, you're going to lunch with these guys and you're thinking it's just a genuine lunch just to sit down and converse with each other. And,
right.
And it ended up being an interview for the whole time.
Well, I didn't know it, and really it was a wonderful learning opportunity for me because I was being mentored by an individual who had given his life for civil rights and for economic opportunity in Rocky Mount and connecting around himself and this organization with other organizations around the country. And I really respect what he did for me and with me, and I'm telling you, he literally gave me an organization that was worth $1 million, and that's how I was able to get started. And I just say I am really blessed and highly favored, of the Lord, really, because how many people, have an opportunity to start out with something like that. And, there was a long journey prior to this. I've been in the nonprofit management world for, 10 or 12 years prior to that opportunity that I had here with OIC. So most of my adult work life has been spent in nonprofit management. And what I'll say this, I really like to say not-for-profit, because the work that I do here at OIC is not because of money that we make, but it's because of the benefit that it brings to individuals that we're able to serve and support and work with, and the changes, the possibilities, and the opportunities for change that occur for their lives and for the communities in which they live.
And see, that's amazing also, because, you actually took your life and you actually took it to another level, as I would like to say. And the reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of people, I'm from Rocky Mount, North Carolina also, and a lot of people don't get that opportunity around here. And, a lot of people feel that if they start in this one company, their mind frame is where they at, that's where they're going to be at. And
that's right.
I see that you took it to that whole nother level. So I really want to commend you and congratulate you on that, first and foremost.
Well, thank you for that, but I just want to say that, one thing that I learned is that nobody does anything by themselves, and it takes a team, and it takes a shared vision and collective effort to really make a difference. And I'm telling you, and I really do give honor to the Lord, because He is the one that has orchestrated everything, and I've just tried to follow directions, Michael. I'll tell you this.
To God be the glory for that.
I just do what I'm told to do, okay?
Yes.
So
yes.
As long as I, keep my head, bowed under His hand, I'm okay. And so, I really am thankful that we have an incredible team of people who work together for the common good at OIC. And I'm also blessed because the community has responded so wonderfully here. We were founded in Rocky Mount in 1969, and I did not join OIC until 1998, so it's not as if I had to rescue something. It was already working. And we had a wonderful organization that really is based within the community. The community really dictates what we do and what we focus our efforts on. Whatever the needs of our population that we serve is where we try to shift our program and develop something that really lifts the community up one person at a time, one family at a time.
Right. And that's one thing that I do love about OIC, because when I was a teenager, I'm an 80s baby, and when I was a teenager, growing up in the 90s, I used to come out there and I played basketball. And, there was so many, at that time, the crime rate wasn't as high, but it was high. But, it was between OIC, South Rocky Mount Gym, or Sunset Park to actually go play ball. But the thing I like about the most about OIC, the employees there, I don't want to say they catered to you, but they let you know that they were always there. If you needed help with anything.
Well, Michael, I really appreciate you saying that, because what we try to do is make certain that our community recognizes that this is home for them.
Right.
First of all, being headquartered in the historic Booker T. Washington facility that used to be the high school, a high school that served so many people, thousands of people in our community, and we know it was built in 1922 during segregation, at a time that was very stressful for the country, and especially for people of color. And this place harbored the hopes, the dreams, and, the futures of Black Americans, African Americans at that time. And the gym that you played in, I love the fact that the gym that you played in is the place that Dr. Martin Luther King came and delivered one of his first I Have a Dream speeches. And I dare say that when you were balling it up in the 90s, you had no clue that you were being bathed in the presence of the words of Dr. King's inspirational speech, I Have a Dream. And I just believe that there is something special and an anointing that has lasted to the day that says that our young people that come through this facility and this community have destiny written all in them. I believe that to my heart, and I believe you're just a living symbol of that. Michael. I believe you got some of that rubbed off on you.
Thank you very much. And that's one thing I want to commend on that. And and one thing, like I said, I really do appreciate the OIC for everything they have done. From you all have meetings there, you all carry on different sports entertainments, and so many different things that can be done at the OIC, and I do commend you for that. But Mr. Blackwell, also I want to know this. Even though I know we give God the glory for everything that we do.
Yeah, but we got to work.
That's right. That's right.
We got to work.
But how did it feel, though, when you was first told that you was going to be CEO of OIC?
Wow, it was, first of all, the possibility of that even happening just sort of blew my mind because, I've always worked for somebody else, never had a problem taking directions. I never had a problem making sure that, I did everything I could to make my organization that I work for work well and that the people that I reported to did well because I was doing a good job. And so what it did was, first of all, I felt humbled. I was afraid of failure. I was thinking, well, my goodness, I've never been the head of anything myself, And while some people might want to stick their chest out, all I could think is what happens if I don't do well and I don't make it. I got the fate of people's lives in my hands. If I don't do what I'm supposed to do, people don't get a check. If they don't get a check, they can't pay their bills. They can't make their dreams come true. So I really had a tremendous sense of responsibility. And it took me a while to really understand the full weight of what I was doing, but I also had to learn how to relax in the fact that I didn't have to be perfect. I just had to work at it every day, And, after growing my way through and having an excellent board of directors who really worked hard with me and helped me develop those things that I needed to be developed in order to be a good leader and a good servant, I really am blessed. But Michael, one of the things I think we have to all understand and we try to get through to our students here at OIC is that you got to have a good work ethic. And work ethic means that you don't stop because the day has ended, And,
You're right.
We get caught up on labor laws and all this kind of stuff, and and you don't want to abuse people, but something inside a person, if you want to be the leader of something, if you want to own something, if you want to manage and you want to be the number one person in anything that you do, you got to put that effort and that time in service. You got to perfect yourself and your skills and your education to know what it is you're talking about and then to outwork everybody around you. You can't be, people, talk about living the big life. Well, you know what? That stuff comes with a price. And
you got that right.
I don't know anybody who's able to sit back and rest on a laurel that doesn't find themselves with that laurel sitting on their backside somewhere else down the road. This is hard work, and it's not hard work to keep a title. It's hard work to keep a vision active and alive.
Very true. Very true. I couldn't have said it better myself. And also a lot of people need to realize wherever you work at, whenever you go out into the public or in the community, even if you're thinking, okay, I'm going to the mall to pick up something, you have to carry that image with you because people will say, hey, you work for such and such. So the company, believe it or not, a lot of people believe, okay, you can leave your work at home. But to be truthful, if you're seen or have heard or been heard of or even a picture has been taken of you, people know who you are. And I'm speaking of anyone in general. So you really have to have that mind frame of I have to work hard. And you carry that image with you wherever you go. So and that's one thing I want to say. You do a great job doing that. You really do.
I'm humbled that you say that. I appreciate it. And I always realize, just like you say, being a figure that, Rocky Mount's not such a huge place, but this is a great community, and this is, I think of Rocky Mount as a family. I'm not from here, but I've lived here now most of my adult life. In fact, I've lived here in Rocky Mount longer than I did in my own hometown. So I might know more people here that aren't my cousins.
Hey, We all family regardless. Yes.
That's right. And this is the kind of place where people do expect you. You know, they expect you to respond to them, and they expect you to know them. And I think if you treat people right, people will treat you right in return.
Very true. Now, Mr. Blackwell, I have to remember that there's people listening to this radio show that's even in Rocky Mount and outside North Carolina is actually worldwide right now, and a lot of people are listening. So for the people that's not from Rocky Mount and that's not from North Carolina or even visited Rocky Mount, can you tell everybody what OIC stands for?
Sure. OIC stands for Opportunities Industrialization Center. That's a mouthful. We were created, like I said, in 1969 as part of a national and international community-based workforce development and job training movement. Dr. Leon Howard Sullivan, who was the founder of OICs in America and internationally, was a phenomenal pastor of a huge church in Philadelphia, Zion Baptist Church. He was a mentee of Adam Clayton Powell, as well as of A. Philip Randolph. He was a phenomenal organizer in the civil rights movement and a person that had a great vision about how to move our people and our country forward. In fact, Dr. Sullivan was the first African-American person to sit on a Fortune 500 company board of directors. He was a member of the board of directors for GM. And as such, Dr. Sullivan took his life's lessons that he learned for freedom, his yearning, his love for his own personal freedom, but also for the freedom of his people and for the benefit of everyone. Freedom benefits everyone, not just the oppressed, but it benefits those who were the oppressors. When people are free, and I mean truly free to explore economic opportunities and educational opportunities and establish their families and their loves and free to realize their dreams, then that benefits the whole entire society. And Dr. Sullivan took that with him to South Africa. He was the person that began the movement of divestiture, which means the pulling out of corporate resources from South Africa, and that combined with the tremendous social pressure that was taking place supporting Nelson Mandela to be free from jail is what broke the back of apartheid. And what we see in our own community here in Rocky Mount and in 40-some communities across America, wherever there's an OIC, that education is a place that we equip people to live lives of opportunity and freedom. And that's why we're called Opportunities Industrialization Center. We put work with the opportunity and we create new lives for people.
Wow. Okay. Well, where do you see the progression of OIC 5 years from now?
Well, OIC, interesting story here in Rocky Mount. We, all over America, OICs are focused on workforce development and training. And every OIC is self-sufficient in that our motto is helping people help themselves. And what our core belief is that, that God has given us all what we need in our own selves to live productive lives of our own. And so what we have to do as organizations is find ways to sustain our programs and our efforts. And in so doing, we model, first of all, for the folks who come in that we're doing this ourselves. We had students here in Rocky Mount years ago that were trying to get jobs, but were being turned away from private medical practices. And so what our students were finding themselves on the outside because they didn't have private insurance, they had Medicaid or they were uninsured, and they weren't able to pass health screenings or even take care of their own personal issues related to health care. And so, 2005, but we really started about 2000 looking for ways to establish clinical facilities for our students really initially. We ended up purchasing in 2005 a inner city practice that was going out of business, and many years later now we are federally qualified health center, which means we've been designated by the federal government under very highly critical and high performance quality issues, but we are here to serve our community. I see us in 5 years expanding that concept tremendously. We have another clinical site that's opening up probably next month, Michael. We currently serve about 6,000 patients. We expect that to double within a couple of years. I expect that we'll have medical sites of some means and form throughout Rocky Mount. I also see OIC expanding what we do in other programmatic areas around the state in other areas. So I have a team of folks who are learning how to be at the top of our game in those areas. We've already had requests from many cities across North Carolina to establish OICs in those communities. We're trying to grow and build out here as best as we can to service our own communities here first, and then we will expand abroad. Okay. I also believe that, we will train up a cadre of young people who are skillful at being able to run sites themselves and who are at the top of their game as far as not-for-profit management is concerned.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, and of course you are because of live, think about this. You all need to take heed of what Mr. Blackwell is saying. There's big things that's coming in the future for everybody. Make sure you stay close to this because there's a huge opportunity for a lot of people. Make sure you do. Now, Mr. Blackwell, here's one thing I do want to bring up also that I did find out about you. Now, I found out that you won the Grassroots Empowerment Award. Can you tell people about that?
Sure, I am. You're really pushing me, Michael, because I'm used to not talking a lot about myself. But you're really pushing me today. But that's okay. I was really honored a year or two ago to receive a Grassroots Empowerment Award from the North Carolina Justice Center. They are a progressive think tank organization that works to understand what's taking place in the North Carolina General Assembly with legislation that impacts all North Carolinians, but especially impacts people who are not rich folks, working with the poor and working with targeted populations that have some historic challenges that could be challenges related to ethnicity or immigration status or sexual orientation. And so what the Justice Center did is that they designated me, and I'm really thankful for the work that I've been able to do to support those communities of color, of ethnicity, of orientation in Rocky Mount and throughout the state of North Carolina. I've been blessed to be able to be part of the leadership team with the North Carolina NAACP, and I work very closely with Dr. William Barber, who is our president. I am one of the co-chairs of the historic Thousands on Jones Street movement, HK on J, which has really grown and evolved into the Moral Monday movement in the state that's really rocked this state and become a point of conscience for our nation. And my job with the NAACP, my job with OIC, and recognized by the Justice Center is really not to focus stuff on myself, but help translate what's happening in a way that people can understand for themselves around our state and then say, okay, I can make a difference in this area. And I believe, Michael, that the thing that we got to understand, no matter how big the challenge that confronts us, is that we can make a difference. The ocean is huge, isn't it, when you go to the seashore and you look out and you can't see anything but water no matter where you are and what ocean on the earth, you see nothing but water. But you know what? True. All of that water collectively is made up of individual drops. 2 atoms of hydrogen connected with 1 atom of oxygen. And if you didn't have those individual drops, you'd never have an ocean. And I just believe that what our job, and I believe what the Justice Center helped me to feel good about, is that my job is to motivate the drops to go and come together so that we can put our collective resources and efforts together to create a force that will not be denied.
Okay. Well, see, and here's one thing also that I do like that you said about it. See, you're doing a lot of things with the NAACP, the OIC. And guys, I'm sorry if I'm throwing a lot of abbreviations out there, but it's definitely what it is.
Right.
But, Mr. Blackwell, you're more than just the OIC, and you're more than just, working with the NAACP. Like I said at the beginning of the show, you're part of the Rocky Mount City Council.
Yes,
Can you
sir.
tell us how you actually received the interest of becoming, a member of that?
Sure. Well, interestingly enough, I was approached by two individuals. First of all, I was approached by an individual that I currently serve with on council who came to me later, early in my career. She was not an elected member, and she asked me a long time ago, would you ever consider doing this? And I was like, are you crazy? No. My job is to help other people. I don't ever think about getting out there myself. But then it sort of came full circle when the former board chair of OIC, Helen Gay, who was the city's first African-American woman to be elected and serve as a member of City Council, actually approached me about the possibility of being interested, at least, in being appointed to the City Council. My councilman died in office, the former Donald Ray Armstrong, who also was the director of Educational Talent Search, which worked with putting young people on track towards college and helping their families find finances and money for that. And Mr. Armstrong died shortly after we had our epic flood here in 1999. Right. And I was one of 7 people who interviewed for that position of City Council and was consequently selected by the sitting council at that time to complete his term, and then I decided to run for council. And really the piece that got me moving towards the City Council, Michael, was the fact that I could help in a way that I've never helped people before by becoming on the front line. For me, City Council was never something that looked at personal advancement. Again, my job, I feel my call in life is to help other people help themselves and get to a place where they in turn can be productive and help other people in their own families, in a way. So I looked at this as another level of service to our community, and I've been there for quite a while now, since 2000. So, and I was just reelected to another 4-year term this past November. We have a lot of challenges. Well, thank you, sir. We have a lot of challenges ahead of us as a city, which all are good, I believe. They create a lot of opportunities. We're in the midst now of looking at redeveloping our downtown area. We have a project which I am fully supportive of called the Event Center that would be, I believe, transformational to our downtown and our economy, that would make Rocky Mount a destination point in an even greater dynamic than what it is already, and that I believe would also bring some equalization, some economic equalization to our city and our community as well.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this, Mr. Blackwell. Do you feel that the current Board of Councils, do you think they will actually help make a positive impact on bringing Rocky Mount to a better city? Even though I know, you all are doing things for downtown, you're remodeling downtown, thank you for that, but you're keeping it with the historic look at the same time. But do you feel like, in an overall, this whole board, as we currently speak as of right now, 2014, can make the city
absolutely.
better?
If I don't, I'm in the wrong business at the wrong place at the wrong time, What I believe that, and let me tell you how I measure that. I measure our effectiveness by the responsiveness of our community to the vision that we put forth, and also to the level of opposition that it takes.
Okay.
And, one of the things that the Old South is still grappling with is, how to perpetuate itself versus shifting to a new way of thinking. And it's sort of interesting to me, even in time, that we're dealing with this movement of regression in our country, but it's really evident if you live in the South.
Right.
We have people espousing principles that we haven't heard since I was a child, and I grew up in the '70s. I'm a little ahead of you, Michael. I grew up in
not a problem.
The mid '60s and the '70s, and I was the generation that first came out of the segregation, and we were the first ones who integrated the public schools, and we began to have friendships and partnerships with people of other races and from other countries and other places, and the country seemed to have a lot of hope and be moving forward. And the stuff that I'm hearing and seeing and dealing with today, I haven't heard since I was a child, and so what I believe is that in Rocky Mount, we've been able to create a momentum that is breaking away from the past and forging a direction towards the future. We are beginning to get interest from other industrialists and entrepreneurs who've done things in other cities who are moving here to Rocky Mount now and purchasing properties here. We are finding that our young people are starting to think that maybe there is a place I can forge my destiny in this city, and I believe our city council is attuned to those trends and doing everything we can to move that forward as well.
Very true, very true. And I want to thank not just you, but the whole city council board, because a lot of people in their minds, they feel that the government or anybody that works for the government, especially up in a city council position all the way up to mayor and more, it's just really thinking about themselves. So, with you doing small things, well, I won't even call that small, what you're doing starting with downtown and working your way all the way around Rocky Mount, you're showing that you can bring positivity into the city. And that right there should actually open up the eyes for other leaders in other cities and states, saying, hey, look what they're doing in Rocky Mount that has a name for themselves. They're actually doing something to better the place. So, this can actually be like a domino effect that can actually affect a lot of people.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and I do hope that happens, sir. I really hope that happens. I believe that hope is a powerful incentive, and it was hope that got our president elected, and once he got in office, though, he had to actually put something to hope to make it real, and really, even if you just look at one thing that took place, the passage of the Affordable Care Act, that in and of itself is such a huge accomplishment, and that's how we feel at City Council, that regardless of the naysayers that are there, if we just do those things which we know will bring an advancement in business development, jobs opportunity, new housing development, and a stable quality of life, that creates a future, man, that other people can build on and count on for the years to come. And that's what I want to be. And that's what I want to be. I want to be a part of something great and something positive and something dynamic.
Very true, and it looks like you're doing it. Now, and Mr. Blackwell, what is your ultimate goal? And this will sound kind of crazy asking this question because you really explained it throughout the whole show. But what is your ultimate goal for your profession at OIC and the Rocky Mount City Council? What is your ultimate goal?
Well, ultimately for OIC, I desire that for the time that I'm here, that I've been able to work with the board and the staff and the community to create something that sustains itself long after I'm gone. That this organization is not just built around my personality, but it's built around and upon and inside this community, and that this community will sustain the vision that has brought it to where it is today. For City Council, what I desire is that I would have at least piqued an interest in people who live here in Rocky Mount and other places to say that one person really can make a difference, and it might as well be me, and that politics doesn't have to be dirty, and it doesn't have to be self-serving, and it doesn't have to be something that is not to be desired. That politics is something that, if it's done correctly, can benefit everyone. And I just hope that whatever legacy that I have, it will be a positive legacy, and that people will be able to look and say, well, this is how it's supposed to be done. And if he could do it with his limitations, and I have many, I have many limitations, but if he can do it with his limitations, then maybe I can do it in a better way. So I hope that there will be some inspiration for young people to say, I want to do this in my life and make a difference and make the world a better place.
Wow, great answer, great answer. Well, Mr. Blackwell, I'm not going to hold you up much longer, but just one more thing that I'm going to ask you for. Yes, what advice would you give any male or female that choose to become like CEO of a company, like how you've done with OIC, or that it's like an interest to become into a city council, to go towards politics? What advice would you give?
I would say prepare yourself in the moment that you're in. And while you have an overriding vision of who you want to be some point in the future, you be the best that you can be today. The only way to turn into, nobody turns, pumpkins into, chariots today. That stuff is not real. But what is real, that is, if you prepare yourself and take advantage of every opportunity, have an open heart, I believe to God first, and then to serve mankind second, and to have integrity, that there's nothing that will be withheld from you. And I believe that anything is possible. And wherever you see the need, wherever something is not being done, that's what you start working on. That's where the opportunity is. The opportunity is where there is lack. And so I hope in this little talk can encourage somebody to say, hey, it's not too late for me. It does not matter how much you have or what you got started with or what you feel like your limitations are. If anybody else can do it, you can too.
That is great. And guys, you all heard it here first on the Big Scoop with Coop. And Mr. Blackwell, I want to say thank you for being on the show today. And I hope you do return on a future episode.
Oh, anytime you invite me back, I'm available to you. I really appreciate the work you're doing and the inspiration that you already are. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Blackwell. And can you tell everybody today where they just officially got their scoop?
Right here on the Big Scoop with Coop.
All right. Until next time, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Mr. Cooper. God bless you in everything that you attempt. Mm-hmm.
God bless you, too. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.